Welcome, everybody. This is the DVMUG Zoom meeting for Tuesday, October 29th, 2024. We were going to do Q&A, which I put in the Sunday MailChimp, but that's all changed. As yesterday and today, there's all new stuff. So that's what this meeting is going to be about. I got lots of news about it and 4 videos about the 4 things: the iMac M4, the Mac Mini M4, Sequoia 15.1, and iOS 18.1. Okay, so to start off with, before we get to the news, in 2 weeks, we're going to have another Zoom class with Mike. What's new in macOS Sequoia? And this will be very similar to the last one he did, only new topic. And as usual, you'll get an email about it and you can donate. Appreciate the donations to cover his costs. Last time we're good to go. So we've always done that. So we appreciate that. Thank you very much. And now we'll go to the news. Lots of news. Of course, we had new M4s in the iMac, new Mac Mini. The keyboards and mice have all been switched from Lightning to USB-C. Sequoia 15.1, iOS 18.1, and iPad 18.1. Apple Intelligence included in those. There's an interesting thing that Kenji noticed about Apple Intelligence. There's also updates for, as usual, iOS 17. Security fixes, and they didn't even mention in most of the news tvOS, visionOS, watchOS, mostly all bug fixes, no features. And the AirPod Pros got their hearing aids all in the last 2 days. Okay, here we go. Here's the first news article. iMac M4, big deal. 16 gig RAM standard, doubled it. That used to be $200 extra. The camera's been bumped up to the similar camera that's in, what do you call your display in? The
studio display.
With the center stage camera that tracks you as you move around. Standard in the iMac. Pretty cool. Same price. So it's actually a $200 reduction. So there's an article about that. If you want to read it, the links are in the chat. You can get that. Next, the Mini. This is all true to rumor, came true exactly the same. The Mac Mini is more the size of an Apple TV, but it's not. It's taller. It's 5 inches square, but it's the same price with double the memory, which is cool. It has Thunderbolt 4 ports on the back, 3 of them, and 2 USB-Cs on the front. So effectively, you have 5 usable USB-C ports. The Thunderbolt stuff, I found out today, pricing it, very expensive. So effectively, you've also got still a headphone jack on the front. You got Ethernet still and HDMI, and the power supply is built in, so no external power supply. One thing weird is you can see on the photo on the right, the power button is not on the back or the front. It's underneath in the corner. You have to lift it up to push the power button. That's kind of weird. So if you stack it with something on top of it, like I do, stack of multiple minis, that's kind of a problem. But that's the way it is. It's an incredibly powerful machine for the money. Okay. Any questions about those two? The M4 iMac and the Mini?
I'm looking at that. It looks like the base raises it up enough that you could probably stick something under there and press that power button without lifting it up.
Not big enough to get your finger under there.
No, but you could maybe with a bent paper clip or something press it.
Yeah, you see that ring is how it breathes. And I think it has a fan in it. I mean, I don't know if it has a fan or not, but they showed a video you'll see later of the air circulating through that. So it I don't know, it goes in or out of that ring to cool it.
So I have a question. If you stack them, there is a space in, looks like there is a space in between there.
Well, it's raised a little bit. That ring raises it, so it won't be flat on the desk. I don't know how thick that is, not very much where it raises it up.
So it says that it starts at $599. Does that mean that's only 8 GB of RAM?
No, all of them standard. All the new iMacs and minis base RAM is 16. That's going to be
16.
across the board on all new machines. The base will be 16.
It's 16 gigs of RAM at the base, and then it's only 256
Still
SSD at the
250.
base.
Correct.
Uh,
Still
512 will cost you $799.
200. Still $200 extra to bump up the RAM. There's
Okay.
also, didn't mention in this article or not, there is an M4 Mini with the Pro chip. Okay, that's about twice as powerful, and the Thunderbolt ports on the back are Thunderbolt 5 ports, which are twice as fast. I checked the prices on that stuff. The cable alone is $60 from Apple. And the drives, I found somebody who's going to release one, it's going to start at 700. So that's going to be for like server video people. That's going to be not for us. So I was excited about that at first, but I found out the price. I mean, in time, it'll come down in price.
So the air comes in the back of the Mac Mini and goes out through those base vents, according to a Mac Rumors article.
Where's the intake?
In the back.
It goes
Where?
in. Where in the back? I see
Oh,
the bottom ring comes out the bottom, but where does it intake? I don't see it.
Put the link to the article that I'm looking at.
Okay, all right. If you're interested, you can get a picture.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
it's in the
idea.
article.
Thanks.
Okay.
Is it coming in through the connectors?
No,
Could be.
I don't know. We have to look at the article. Maybe we'll look at that later.
Maybe the top is perforated.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a dynamite machine. Get whatever monitor you want, 27-inch third-party monitor, and you're going to be booking. Okay, next slide. All the mice and the keyboards are now USB-C. The mouse still has
At
its
DVMUG
connection on the
meeting.
bottom where you can't use it. Why they didn't change it.
Talk to you later. I'm at the meeting.
Got it, Siva.
Sorry.
So, okay. Sequoia 15.1 is out with Apple Intelligence. With the base, Apple Intelligence, it doesn't have a lot of stuff in it yet, but it has some stuff in Sequoia and in iOS 18 and iPad 18.1. So it's going to work on more Macs than iPads and iPhones because there's all the M processors it will work on. And this is an interesting thing that Kenji ran into and he posted on the BBS is, why do you have to ask to use Apple Intelligence? He thought that was only in the beta. It's in the final release. You have to request it. It's not turned on by default. And then you have to wait to be approved. Supposedly the wait isn't very long, but they're not going to let a pile of people in there first all at once. If there's a lot, there'll probably be a little wait. But how long did it take you, Kenji, to get approved?
About 20 minutes.
That's what people are saying. Yeah. And that's in what settings where?
Mine was instant.
Yeah.
As soon as I said okay, it said, okay, you're in.
Yeah.
When did you do that, Rick?
Yesterday morning.
Okay, I did it today.
Ah, okay. I'm going to mute again.
The 18.2 and 15.2 betas are out,
Right.
and the wait there, the waiting list there, I've been on it for over a week.
Really?
It's because it's got a ton of new stuff and they don't want to have everybody downloading it all at once.
Right. Okay. Oop, go forward. Next slide. Also, updates for iOS 17, security updates, and obviously tvOS, watchOS, visionOS, AirPods. Those are all been updated like the normal round. Everything had a bump in the updates, but no features in anything else except iOS and macOS. Okay. This is going to be a big deal for some people. AirPod Pros 2 got a firmware update, and with iOS 18.1, they enable the new hearing aids feature. So this article, if you're interested, has a screenshot step-by-step on how to go find it, do the hearing test, and how to turn it on.
I took that test yesterday. It's
You
just,
did?
I don't know, I don't know, I put my earbuds in and it asked me, and it worked great. It took you right through, each ear, and then it gave you a report on, if you had any deficits or anything, and it gave you charts and graphs and explanations. It's really pretty amazing.
And so did you need it?
No, it said that there were some tones in, I think, my left ear. I did not have a deficit. I was not kind of below the line, but I did have a problem with some tones, some sounds. So apparently what it'll do based on that test is it'll adjust your AirPods to compensate for it so that you get a richer, better sound.
So did you do that? Did you
I
accept
haven't
it?
done that yet. I haven't done it because I said, oh, this is exciting. It popped up. I said, oh, let's do the hearing test. And I went through it and did it. Took about, I don't know,
Well,
4 or 5 minutes.
I
4 or
bought
5.
I have AirPod Pros 1 that doesn't work on them. So there was a deal on Amazon. It was the cheapest price I ever saw a couple, 3 weeks ago. So I got them anticipating this feature, and the return was 2 weeks instead of 30 days. And they sounded terrible. They're way worse than my ones that I've been using.
Huh.
So I didn't keep them past the 2 weeks. I sent them back. Either was something wrong with them, or I don't know. They were garbled. They didn't work very well at
No, that's too
all.
bad.
That's too bad. So I
I
may
don't
try them
know.
again.
Apple advertises your AirPod Pro 2 like they said they were new, but they really weren't, because I bought them last year and I said, I was confused. I went down to the Apple store and he says, well, let me see your case. And he said, the latest ones have a little place to put a lanyard in it. And I go, and he says, yep, you got the latest one. I said, well, I bought that last year. How come they're saying, that's the new AirPod Pro 2s? So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So anyway, but yeah, I'm like everybody. We're just starting to experiment with all this stuff.
Yeah, I think what it was is I know the promotion was kind of misleading. I think what they were actually saying was new features rather than new.
Could be.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's supposed to be new ones, Pro 3s coming out sometime next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, this feature is the AirPod Pro 2s have been out for a while. This is
Yeah.
not a new, weren't new for this hearing aid thing. There's just a feature that they're enabling, turn them on for all of them. So
Yeah.
I was curious. So you enable the hearing aid features and then you're wearing them all the time. What is it like to use them in place of a hearing aid day to day walking around?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Anybody have hearing aids and want to try it?
I haven't read anything about people who use them that way, even in the beta test.
well, I will tell you that the original AirPod Pros, which I'm wearing now, have had this feature called transparency, which they seal your ears for noise canceling. They have microphones, so transparency turns on the microphones, and essentially they're hearing aids with no compensation, no test. So this hardware has been able to do this for a long time. All they're doing is adding the hearing test so they can take the curve and apply it to the transparency feature. That's all they're doing. And it worked. I used them. It works pretty good until I got my real hearing aids, which don't sound as good as the AirPods, but the batteries last all day, and the AirPods, when they're new, supposed to last 6 hours. These are getting old. They last like sometimes not this whole meeting, 3 or 4 hours. So
do you have Apple Care on them?
no, these are really old. These are from
Okay.
Ann. They're old. What I bought was Apple owns Beats. Beats came out with this thing called Beats Solo Buds. Here they are here. They were retail $80.
We
And
can't
then-
see them. They're against your background.
Put
No,
it down. Oh, there.
they're supposed to last 18 hours. And they don't sound quite as good, but they were on sale with a open box on eBay for 40. So I bought them. And they do last because I can watch the pregame and the 49er game and the postgame like 6 hours, and I've never run them down yet. So I'm keeping them for that feature because they last a long time. They're cheap enough.
So I have a question for Bruce.
Bruce, you have the AirPod 2 you bought. Did you try it yet? The hearing aid feature?
I do. I didn't. That's what I'm asking right now is, do we have to manually update?
No, the way it works is the
No,
firmware.
I
You
didn't.
put them in the case, the charging case, and you upgrade to iOS 18.1 on your phone, and they will automatically upgrade the
Oh.
firmware. There's
Yeah.
no
Okay.
there's no manual way to upgrade the firmware on the AirPods. It just does it automatically. You can check your version. Read this article. It tells you how to check your version
Okay.
to see if it worked.
Okay. Thanks, because I've got him in now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you can report back next week.
Well, you do it on your phone, so find the app
Right.
on your phone and then
Right.
do the hearing test. Yeah,
Right.
it's pretty easy.
Yeah. Okay. Any more discussion about this?
Yeah, I had a question.
Uh-huh.
In the hearing test, do you have to have AirPods?
Yes.
Yeah.
AirPod Pro 2s.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And an iPhone iOS 18.1.
18.1, right?
And I think you have to have an iPhone, at least an
Yes.
iPhone 15 Pro,
Really?
and the new and a quote,
Oh.
16.
No, it works with any iPhone.
Yeah. Anything that'll run iOS 18, it should work. 18.1 should work.
I don't think
Okay.
Apple Intelligence works though
Yeah, intelligence only works on the 15 Pro or the 16.
in the new. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, that's what you're thinking.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Anything else about anything that Apple announced in the last 2 days? So we can move on to the videos. We got 4 of them, and they're each about one of the major things that got released.
In response to your question, I had to unmute to get to answer you. One of the
Uh-huh.
things that I'm just knocked out with is the difference in Siri. I find it a bit more responsive. I like that you can type to it, and I love the screen effect. It's
Right.
amazing.
So that's part of Apple Intelligence.
Yeah.
I don't think you get that unless you get the Apple Intelligence. Is that true?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
So if you've got an M series anything or i15 Pro and newer, and let's see, iPads with the M series chips also all support it.
So far on macOS 15.1, I've not been impressed with Siri's responses, and
Huh.
And this MacMost video that I think we're going to see, he says the same thing, that it doesn't seem that it's much implement. For instance, the first thing I did is I asked Siri, what's new with Siri? And the response was 4 news links that had nothing to do with Siri. They were just news. So I asked the question the second time, and the answer was, "Hi, nice to meet you, Kenji," which was still not the answer to what's new with Siri. So,
Well,
it probably it's early days. It
I
has
use it partly for home control, and I find it much more responsive.
okay.
So I can say SIRI, turn on office lights. Bingo, before I'm done, practically they're on. Whereas with my Amazon Echo, it sometimes has to grind the gears for 1 or 2 seconds.
Well, that makes sense because with that device and also with SIRI, it needs to go to the internet and back to do something. Whereas here it's being processed on device.
Yeah. And I love the ability to type to it. You can do that very silently if you're in say, a doctor's office or something, and it's not obtrusive at all.
What do you have to do? Call up, you type the letters, of her name or his name, and then
Hit the
ask-
return.
Okay.
You can also just double click, double tap the command key on the Mac.
Yeah, double tap command key, and then that authorizes the typing.
Oh,
And
okay.
type in whatever you want and hit the return, and bingo, there it is.
But I think that's actually in Apple Intelligence and Siri settings, you have to actually activate that. It's an option, the double command.
Correct. Well, it asks you if you approve it. It's a default.
Okay.
If you approve it.
There's also a an icon on the top bar
Yes.
that allows you to type to it. And on the phone, you can just double tap the bottom edge of the phone to be able to type to Siri.
What I'd like to know is, can Siri always listen on a Mac to its name the way it can on a phone?
I mean, listen for hey, SIRI.
Yes.
I don't know.
You're muted.
Okay, anything else we'll move on to the Apple videos. The first 2 are Apple videos like they do when they have a keynote. Ready? Here we go. This is the first one. This was from Monday. This is the iMac. There you go. Comments,
So what do you
question?
think? What do you think tomorrow's Mac announcement's going to be?
Well, that was Monday, so the next one is this morning's.
Okay.
Yeah.
The prices
Morning.
seem a little higher on the iMacs. I just looked at B&H on another device. And for 16 gigs of RAM and a terabyte drive, it's like $1,900.
Yeah, right.
That's
The
more
one,
than
the base one still doesn't have Ethernet or has 2 USB-C ports and no fingerprint reader on the keyboard. So for that first jump, you get all that stuff. You get 4 ports instead of 2, fingerprint reader and Ethernet. Then if you want more SSD space to go to 512, that's another 200.
Does anybody, I mean, because of the cost, is anybody using Thunderbolt equipment?
I have a Thunderbolt drive enclosure from OWC with an SSD in it, and it's stupid fast. But it's like Thunderbolt 3, I think, or something. It's backward compatible to USB-C. Same connector. The USB-C connector is very confusing. It's USB-C and Thunderbolt, Was there a 3? There's a 4 and a 5. It's all the same connector,
Yeah,
but it depends
they're
on
all
what the
compatible.
yeah, but it's all depending on what you hook it up with, what cable and what hardware, how fast it goes. And they charge. It does charging too. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I went and looked up I saw the Thunderbolt 5, and Apple released a new cable. It's $69 just for the cable. And I went and looked up a drive. The only one I could find was say, okay, it's going to be released soon. It's the first one, and it's going to be $700. So not something for normal use. Okay, are we ready for the Mac Mini?
John, can you make me co-host before you run the next video? There was some throat clearing and stuff going on from unmuted Macs during that last video,
Oh, you want to mute people, right?
and I couldn't do anything about it.
Oh, you're not an admin?
No.
Okay, let me see if I can do that on full screen on one machine. Let me see if I can do that.
Or people just
Oh, the other co-host can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. I sent messages to the other co-hosts during that video, and also to the person who was clearing their throat, but didn't. But
Okay, I don't want to interrupt. With one machine, I can't get out of here to get to participants without.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute, here I
Can you
can't.
mute yourself, please?
Wait a minute, here I go. Can I do participants? Yeah, here I go. Okay, Kenji, make co-host. That work?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, we're good. Yeah, I noticed that too. All right, here we go. This is going to be, go forward, please. Mac Mini M4. There we go. And everybody knows there's one more coming tomorrow, and it's going to be no surprise because the rumors have been spot on so far. It's going to be the MacBook Pro 14 M4 and 16 M4.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right, one more tomorrow.
So I was wondering, does it the Mac Mini, does it have a fan?
Well, I saw the video, and he showed it all comes around the ring, and it comes in the front and goes out the back of that ring. I must have a fan. How could it do without it? I don't know.
Yeah, it looked like it went in one side and out the other.
Right. How could it do that if it didn't go out the top?
Yeah, plus that circular shape.
Yeah, there's a fan in
It
there.
has to be a horizontal fan in there.
Yeah.
There's a TechCrunch article also that says there's a fan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. What do you think? I think it's a very cool machine.
Yeah.
It would be really easy to pick up and walk away and bolt it down.
Yeah, but it's a home machine. It's not going to be carried into a coffee shop.
Well, they say, well, and they mentioned, okay, well, it's, you could pack it, take it with you and plug into somebody else's monitor and,
Yeah.
very portable, very small.
So I wonder, what is involved in connecting 3 monitors to it? Because it only has 3 Thunderbolt outlet. Can Thunderbolt be daisy chained? Or would you need an external hub, if you didn't want to give all your Thunderbolt?
Some external docks that you can buy from OWC and other places can do multiple monitors into a dock. Or maybe you need to use the 3, I don't know, depends.
Does Thunderbolt, can you daisy chain with Thunderbolt?
I don't know.
I'm looking it up. Yes, Thunderbolt connections may be daisy chained. That's from Apple Discussions. I just typed it into Siri.
I was just looking on Apple's site for this product, and it wasn't clear which version of the model you need in order to get back your Ethernet port.
Oh, they all have Ethernet. Oh,
No,
they don't.
iMac?
I heard the new Mac Mini for the lowest model apparently doesn't have the Ethernet port.
No, it does.
No,
absolutely it does.
Nor does the MacBook Pro.
No,
You have to use a dongle.
Now let's get this straight. I need the details.
The base Mac Mini does have Ethernet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The
Okay.
base iMac does not. You have to step up $200 to get it. You get Ethernet, the fingerprint reader on the keyboard, and 4 USB-C ports instead of 2. So you get 3 extra things.
Okay.
Or you can buy the power supply. The Ethernet
Right.
goes into the power supply. You can buy just an upgrade to the power supply with Ethernet if you only want that feature.
It just seems to me something I'm going to have on my desk in an office space. I should have an Ethernet port. So I'm
Yes, you
glad they've
should.
left it in.
The reason they have to put it in the power supply on the iMac is because basically it's an iPad with a stand. The thing is like, there's no room to stick an Ethernet port in there.
Right.
So they had to do it that way. And it goes through the power supply is a really big, powerful magnet. It snaps in there, and the Ethernet goes through that. Amazingly.
So it says right there on Customize Your Mac Mini that all the models have gigabit Ethernet.
Okay.
Right.
I
And
also,
there's an option, because I know my son-in-law bought a Mac Mini, the M3 or whatever it was, with 10 gigabit Ethernet.
Right.
And I told him, I said, what are you getting 10 megabit Ethernet for? He said, because we got 10 megabit sonic service.
Gigabit.
Gigabit,
What
yeah.
the heck is he going to do with 10 gigabit internet?
Well, remember I sent you the test.
Yeah, I know he can do it, but what?
Yeah.
Oh, they
That's an
do.
office.
They do radio shows for KALX, and they don't go into the studio because of the COVID stuff. So they do these hours-long radio shows that they upload.
Well, when I upload this 2-hour video for this meeting to YouTube, I get 600 up because it's symmetrical. It takes me less than 60 seconds for a 2-hour HD video.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine what you do with
I guess
20
maybe it's
times 20
sort of like
times the bandwidth. God.
sort of like Mallory said about Everest, because it's there, you know.
Because it's there, right?
Yeah.
Because we can.
Yeah, but you're still
you
at the
can.
mercy of the server on the other end. No matter
Right.
what
It
you're
depended
doing.
on both ends having that. But YouTube, Google obviously has high speed. Usually when I do it to YouTube, you have to answer some questions. Do you want it, is it for kids? You want to make it private? What's the name? And by the time I click on the 5th link and it says, I'm done uploading, you can leave this page before I even finish the questions. It's crazy.
John, on
All
your
right.
presentation, it shows resume recording.
Oh, I'll have to cut that out of there. Oh, darn, I forgot to pause the recording. Those are Apple not support videos, and they ding us for that. So I will have to cut those out of there. Thank you for noticing. I have a note to myself, which I disregarded.
You'd rather.
All right. So be it. All right, let's see. Anything
Weird
else
that
about
Apple wants to restrict you putting out their own promotional videos.
Yeah, the support channel on YouTube is different than the promotional. They ding us every time we try to do that public, like the advertisement, but the support, they don't care. They don't seem to mind that.
Oh, so that's YouTube that objects, not Apple.
Right. Well, I don't know. Apple probably, whatever they're doing. If they don't give us a strike, they give us and say, do you want to delete that? And you'll just say yes, and they delete it for you, or you can edit it. Maybe I'll try that. Then try to edit it myself. Okay. Anything else about the M4s? Shall we move on to the next one, which would be Sequoia from Matt Gary?
Yeah.
All right, let's go with that. Go, Gary.
This is Gary with MacMost.com. Let's take a look at what's new in macOS Sequoia 15.1. So when macOS Sequoia initially came out, it was missing a lot of features, most notably a lot of Apple Intelligence features. So let's go through what's new once you've upgraded to version 15.1. And note that a lot of these features are specific to the US. In other countries, Apple isn't releasing a lot of new features having to do with Apple Intelligence and iPhone mirroring, sometimes due to regulations and laws, other times because they haven't made new languages available for these features yet. So first let's start by talking about what's new in iPhone mirroring. So you could already use iPhone mirroring in macOS Sequoia 15.0, and you can even copy and paste between your Mac and your iPhone. But what you could do now is you can click and drag from your iPhone to your Mac. So you can see I just dragged an image there. You could do it the other way as well. Here I am in Mail composing a message, and I could take a file from my Mac in the Finder and drag and drop it into the Mail app on the iPhone. An interesting new feature can be found if you go into the App Store. And then once in the App Store, you go to Settings, and then you'll find a new setting here. Download and install large apps to a separate disk. So what this allows you to do is if you have got really big apps, most typically these are games, you can choose another drive, an external drive, and those apps will be installed there. Of course, speed might be an issue because it's not going to be as fast probably as your internal drive, and it will be throttled through a Thunderbolt or USB connection, which may be slowing it down as well. But at least this is an option if you just can't fit it on your internal drive. Another interesting feature for MacBook users is the ability to turn on low power mode right from the menu bar. So you would click here. You would typically not see the ability to turn on low power mode, and that's how it worked before. But now you can add it to this. So if you go to System Settings and you go to Control Center, then look for Battery, you can show energy mode always. And now with that on, notice I could see that I'm not in low power mode, but I could switch to it if I want. So before you would have had to go into System Settings, Battery Settings, and switch it on there. This allows you to do it a little quicker to react to your situation. By the way, if you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost at Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. Now, a big new change is Apple Intelligence. Of course, your Mac has to support it, and you have to be in the right region and set to the right language. Providing you have all that, you can go into System Settings, and you're going to find a new area here for Apple Intelligence and Siri. And it's mostly just the Siri settings here. You'll notice that Siri looks different here in the menu bar, and it works a little differently too. So when you bring up Siri now, you can certainly talk to Siri. You've got the microphone there. But you can type to Siri. You could do that before, but this is now the main way that it works. So it kind of feels a little bit more like using a tool like ChatGPT. And you can ask Siri questions like before, but you get a little bit more verbose if you want. You can still keep it pretty simple. So I can just ask, for instance, for the weather here, and you can see the results. Now, one change in addition to this looking differently is you can also drag this around and place it where you want. Siri's not yet connected to things like ChatGPT, but you can ask some questions and get answers right in here. And you should be able to ask questions about your Mac as well, kind of using Siri as Mac help. So you can see the answer for that actually came from the macOS user guide. In my test in the beta, this didn't work as well as I would like. Most of the time when I came up with sample questions, it couldn't find an answer or gave me web links as answers. But hopefully this will get better over time. Apple Intelligence does add a variety of summarizing tools. And you can pretty much summarize any text you want. So you can select text in some app. I'll use Notes here. And if you control click, right click, or two-finger click to bring up the context menu, you should see in there the writing tools section. And these are all parts of Apple Intelligence. So for instance, I can summarize, create key points, make a list, or make a table. Let's choose summarize. We get this little window here that shows me a summary of the text that was selected. This could be text in Safari, it could be text in Pages, it could be text in a book, all sorts of different places where you can select text. This should work. And you could select the text, copy portions of it, copy the whole thing. Or even if you're editing text like I am here in Notes, you can replace the selected text with the summary. Another place you'll find summaries is in Mail. The first place you'll probably see them is when you look at the list of messages coming in. Instead of the first couple lines of text, you should find a summary of the whole message. That is, if the message is long enough that a decent summary can be created. Another place you'll find it is if you look at the message itself and scroll down a bit, you'll see summarize right here. You can click that and get a summary here at the top. And while we're in mail, you also see that sometimes messages are identified as being very important, having an urgency to them. This is done with AI, not anything that the sender has indicated. And you'll see those here indicated at the top. It's picked up this new message right here as being such. So when you go to reply to a message, when you do it, you should see suggested replies here. So it's going to suggest two things, and it just shows you the beginning of them so you get the idea. So you can click on one of those and then it will write the suggested reply there. You can continue just editing it if you want, or you can modify it. So let's say today, like that, and it'll change the suggestion right there. You can revert to something you had before if you'd already typed, or just click in here, click done, and then edit the message any way you want. It's just text that's kind of pasted in there. Notice also when you select text, you get this little Apple Intelligence indicator here. You can click it like that and bring up all the same summary tools that we saw when we used the context menu before. And in addition to summary tools, we also have proofreading tools. So you can select text like this. You'll see the little Apple Intelligence icon here, or you can use the context menu if you want. And in addition to summarize and all of that, you've got the ability to proofread, rewrite the text, or rewrite it in a specific fashion like friendly, professional, or concise. You can also click Show Writing Tools and it brings it up in this kind of window here. So I can make this more friendly by clicking that and it will change it. It'll of course also change anything I've written. It could be something much longer than this and it can make that more friendly or more concise or just proofread it for me. And this works in a variety of different apps, pretty much anywhere you can type text. Another place where things are summarized are notifications. Notifications will be summarized if they're pretty long, but also if you go into system settings and you look under focus modes, you'll see there's a new focus mode called reduce interruptions. And this will attempt to reduce the number of notifications you get based on AI. So instead of being like never show notifications from this app or in this situation, and it's a set rule, this will look at each notification and try to reduce the number you get based on how important they seem. You could still select to allow people and apps to pass through this, and just everything else is what will be handled by reduce interruptions. And here's one more Apple Intelligence feature that's been added in 15.1, and it's in the Photos app. So in the Photos app, if you go to a photo and you go to edit it, you'll notice that there's an entire new tool here at the top. You've got Clean Up. So the first thing it'll do is it'll highlight items. You can see this one right here that it thinks you may want to remove. If you want to remove that, you can just click and it will get rid of it. You can continue to click on items to get rid of them. And you could also highlight your own. So for instance, get rid of this, I can just click and drag over it and it figures it out from there. So there's a look at what's new. Remember, if something isn't working for you, it probably comes down to your region and language settings, but also a lot of these features, of course, are going to require an M1 processor or newer on Macs to work. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
Okay, that was pretty quick. Not a lot of stuff in there. Anybody else got something to
It was
contribute
very
to this?
helpful.
Yeah.
Well, he was talking on another device. I tried out the rewrite feature, and it really did a nice job.
Okay. Anybody else?
I would imagine that might be a good for a person who's writing professionally, and especially at the beginning of their career, that the rewrite function might be a great help to them.
Yeah, Jason was saying on Mac Break today, he's a professional writer, so he doesn't find the rewrite stuff helpful. But for people who are they're professional at something, but they're terrible at writing, it could help them. write stuff that's like business-like or, more professional than just,
Yeah. Going back to the days of our newsletter, it would have been great help when I was writing a column.
like your secretary can take it and rewrite it for you and fix it.
Yes. Yeah, our club secretary can do well with the minutes on that.
Take the notes, yeah. Rewrite the notes. I already use Grammarly for free on the web in MailChimp, and it's the free version, but it comes up with, okay, we'll do better rewriting here if you pay, but it fixes punctuation and grammar and certain things that will suggest do this or do that. And I usually say, yeah, okay, do that. And it's mostly I copy and paste from posts on the web, and it's amazing how bad people write on the web because they aren't checking their grammar and punctuation. Okay, shall we move on to iOS 18.1? Okay, here we go. There we go. This is from Apple Insider. And this is a little shorter. There we go.
Apple just released iOS 18.1. Here is everything new. Before I get into all of the exciting new features, if you want to keep up to date with the latest Apple news, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. So, like I said, Apple just released iOS 18.1 for the masses. You can go download it right now on your phone. This includes a bunch of new features for your phone, the first implementation of Apple Intelligence, and a whole lot more, including stuff for AirPods Pro. So I've got my iPhone 16 Pro updated. Let's dive in. We'll first hit Apple Intelligence, which is now added into the Settings app to enable. It's limited right now to English-speaking Siri, but it works in a few different regions and will be expanding soon. Just toggle it on, and you'll probably be in a waitlist for a little bit for Apple Intelligence to become available to you. Once you do, you'll notice that Apple's assistant, Siri, has a new coat of paint. It kind of comes out from the button and then radiates around of the edges of your display in this colorful swirl. Apple's assistant is also now better at understanding you. You can say things like, turn on the bathroom lights, the living room lights. Plus, you can type more easily too. Just tap the bottom of your display to bring up a keyboard to type your questions or commands. This is really great if you don't want to speak your commands outside, talk to your assistant all the time. Plus, with the ChatGPT integration coming in 18.2. If you want to learn more about iOS 18.2, I have a first video on that I've linked here. Finally, Apple's Assistant can give you info on your Apple products. Like, you can ask how to take a hearing test with AirPods. More on that feature coming soon. The next Apple Intelligence feature is Writing Tools. Anywhere you are typing, you can tap the Writing Tools icon to bring up AI features to rewrite, proofread, and more. My favorite Apple Intelligence feature so far, though, is the Cleanup tool. Sorry, real quick, I need to pause because my iPhone battery is really low. Fortunately, I have a new set of chargers from this video's sponsor, ESR. They just launched their new line of Qi 2 chargers. Lately, I've been carrying around the ESR Qi 2 5000 mAh battery pack. It's super slim at only 15.5 millimeters, yet it stays cool thanks to its internal sensors that read the temperature and use AI algorithms to keep the battery pack below 99.14 degrees Fahrenheit, so it won't overheat. Heat and speed are a constant battle for these tiny portable chargers. An iPhone 15 Pro will be 84% charged in only 2 hours and 25 minutes. So yeah, it's pretty fast. Plus, the built-in kickstand makes it super convenient to watch content in both portrait and landscape orientations. If you need a stationary charger, I'm really excited about the new ESR 3-in-1 with 50.
You lost your audio.
Yeah, I'm trying to scrub through his. We've got a long commercial in the middle here. Okay, here we go.
This lives in Photos, and it allows you to remove objects or people from your images. Also, in Photos, you can create a new memory by just describing what you want to see. Apple's predictive keyboard is now better with AI-generated replies. You'll see this in places like Messages and Mail. There are other Apple Intelligence features too, such as summarizing text, summarize notifications, and a new Reduce Interruptions focus that intelligently determines what's important to notify you about. I've hit these only briefly, but there's a lot more about them. If you do care about Apple Intelligence and want to learn more about all these features, I've gone ahead and linked another video here with more details. Moving on, Apple has a new call recording feature. When in a phone call, you can tap the button in the top left. It'll announce it to both parties that the call is being recorded, and then you can save it into the Notes app. It's then transcribed, which is super handy. And yeah, Apple Intelligence can summarize it for you. I can't tell you how useful this has been. I've started recording all of my calls when I'm talking to businesses or anything like that, just so I have like records of everything that was said. It's incredibly handy. They're recording me. Why can't I record them? Well, now I can. In the camera app, iPhone 16 models have a new option for camera control. It can swap not only between the rear-facing cameras, but now the front-facing camera too. Plus, the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max can capture spatial photos now, just like the iPhone 16 series. Moving on to AirPods Pro. They have several new hearing health features. Once they're updated, you can take a hearing test right on your iPhone, like a clinical grade hearing test on your iPhone. You'll put your AirPods in, be in a quiet place, and you'll listen for tones on each ear, and will let you know if you're experiencing any hearing loss. It only takes 5 to 10 minutes to get through the whole thing. If you do have any notable hearing loss that it detects, AirPods Pro can then be used as hearing aids. They'll be tuned to your ears where you have the most trouble, like the frequencies that you struggle with most. Finally, for AirPods Pro, they have improved hearing protection features. This can be toggled on or off and will block out sounds, preventing further or any hearing loss. In Control Center, there are new controls for AirDrop, Level, Ruler, VPN, Wi-Fi, Satellite, and Bluetooth. So you can basically place these anywhere you want. RCS and Messages can now be used for businesses. The businesses have to support this as well as your carrier, but when they do, they can use RCS instead of SMS. Shortcuts has a new command to open up Control Center. Lastly, in Contacts, you can invite people to join games directly using Game Center. There's a new Game Center breakout in the contact, and you can invite them into a gaming session. This precedes Apple's rumored new dedicated gaming app that may be coming down the line. Lots of bugs have also been fixed in this update. For example, the random restarts for the iPhone 16, those have been fixed, so that's great. Like I said, this update is available now. You can download it. Depending on your model, you will have some of these features and may not have some of the other ones, but let me know which of these you are most excited about down below in the comments. Have you tried Apple Intelligence at all during the beta? I think you're going to be most excited for what's coming in 18.2. That's a big update. And of course, be sure you subscribe here to the channel because I'm going to be here to tell you all about it. Otherwise, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
Okay. He stuck a big commercial in the middle there. I think that's the last video. You can comments, questions about 18.1. 18.2 will be not here supposedly till December, and that's going to have a bunch more Apple Intelligence in Sequoia and iOS. Anybody want to comment? You unmute yourself. I think that's the last video, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. If not, we can move on to general Q&A. Anybody? I don't hear anybody. Did I lose my sound?
Are you stopping the recording?
If you don't have any more questions about the presentations we watched, we can stop the recording and go to general Q&A.
You need to allow people time to unmute when
Yeah,
you
go
ask for
ahead.
questions. No, I
Yeah,
don't
go
have
ahead.
a question, but
I don't
got
hear
one.
anything. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Mike has
Um,
one.
Back when I rejoined DVMUG here, it was mentioned that you have some online classes for like numbers and pages.
Yes.
I access those.
Yes, in the email every Sunday, at the top, there's a table of contents that says previous meetings. And in there you'll see the public meetings on YouTube and the private classes. And that has a list of like all 13 classes or whatever. You can get to them. The list is there. And you can download it, watch them.
Okay, cool.
The list is also on the BBS, but it's in the top of every Sunday's email.
All righty. I think you guys ought to have like a little class or whatever on how to navigate all your perks to joining. You guys are all used to it because you've been here a long time. Um, I know one of my students said something about it too, and I said, "Well, no, they have classes." Oh, really? I said, "Yeah, it's you know all we learn about, or that we have Zoom meetings, which are very helpful and nice and everything. But it might be nice to have someone show us how to use the rest of the features."
Yes, I could do that. If we don't have any questions, I could do that right now. General
Well,
Q&A. Well, if anybody any more questions about the presentation, we'll just stop the recording and go to general Q&A. All that stuff and no questions. Huh? Okay. I will stop this recording. The DVMUG members watching this on YouTube can get the Q&A for the next recording on the DVMUG BBS. Say bye-bye.